I guess this will be one of the most spontaneous videos on this channel. So I just want to show you how I made these little cute junk journal embellishments. Hi there, this is HEINZL. Welcome to my channel Junk Journal Art. Yeah, as you can see, I have this little thing here on my desk, and I just decided to turn on the camera to show you how I made this, because I think this is really cute, really simple, yeah, and at the same time a really nice focal point for your junk journal pages. And for this thing you will not need much supplies, so it's really simple, and I think every one of you has at hand what we will need for this little thing here. So what we will need is we need some kind of paper scrap that fits the rest of the journals, so I mean the colors and the patterns and that stuff. Then we will need a sewing machine, so I used some black thread here. Alternatively, if you have no sewing machine, you can also use a black pen and make some faux stitching and draw this zigzag stitch or any other stitching that you like, or you can also do this without any of those decorations here. And then we will need a postage stamp, as you can see here, and some kind of stamp that fits the shape of the rest of the elements. So as you can see, I used this rectangle and square shapes here, so I decided, and the stamp is a rectangle as well, so I decided to use this rectangle stamp, but you can also do that with a round stamp or a flower stamp or a bird stamp or whatever. So yeah, let me show you how I did this. So as you can see, I have one here at the moment, and as you perhaps recognize, this is the journal that I'm working on for this English series, tutorial series that I'm doing here on my channel at the moment. And I made a little accident because I recorded the German version of this video with this journal, and that's of course not correct because that's the English thing here. So please don't be confused if you today see some other elements and some other patterns or that stuff, because I'm now using the German, yeah, for the journal that's meant to be used for the German video series. You know what I mean. So in this journal I made the same techniques and the same stuff like in the other one that you have seen before. But yeah, some things are a little bit different. For example, this patterns here, I used some different colors and different stamps, but the base of this journal is the same. So please excuse this circumstances. I haven't realized when I recorded the other video yesterday that I changed the journals. So yeah, excuse me, please. So for this thing here, we will need a page in our journal that's, yeah, perhaps a little bit boring, where we have nearly no embellishments, or yeah, a page where you think that it is suitable for this little embellishment thing. So I like to use pages that are really calm and perhaps that are also a little bit fragile when you want to flip through the journal. So that are the two aspects that I'm looking for when I try to decide which page I want to use. So this paper here is really thin, and that's the one reason why we can use it, because when this embellishment is here, the paper gets a little bit more sturdy and you can flip the page more easily than without this thing. And yeah, it helps to get the page a little bit more durable. And the other thing is that, yeah, here is nearly nothing. You can see here's this writing, this handwriting, that is some kind of ledger paper, and here on the other side we have nothing. And it would be really fine to put a journaling card here in this, into this tuck spot. So this is a little tuck spot, and then it would be nice when we have something here on the top, so that we have place here to journal and we have a decorated place for journaling. Okay, so the other thing I have to say that, sorry, before I can start, I have to say that I have to excuse for my fingernails today. I had a really bad accident with my printer last night, so as you can see my fingers are totally black. I tried to remove this shit here, but it was not possible, so please look at what I'm doing here, not on my fingers. I wanted to print a bunch of papers for a German junk journal friend, and then in the middle of the night my printer decided to lose all its paint. So I don't know why, but it stopped printing, and then suddenly I realized that there is a black, a black layer of paint of this printer ink all over the printer, so in the inside of the printer. And I was so shocked that I just grabbed a wet baby wipe and tried to remove it. And of course, of the wetness of the baby wipe, all the ink came to my fingers and to my fingernails, and I had such a problem to remove that, so please excuse me. I don't have black nail paint here, so that would have solved the problem, but I don't have such things. So yeah, please excuse, and let's start. So as I said in the beginning, we will need a small piece of paper that has colors and patterns and that stuff that fits to the rest of the journal. So I decided to use this mood board here. It's not a mood board, sorry, it's called masterboard. Sorry, I'm always changing these words. I'm always not sure which is what. Sorry, this masterboard. I have shown you how you can make a masterboard in one of my last videos, so if you missed that, please check out the info box. I listed the whole playlist of this journal series down below so that you can check that out. So this is a copy of this masterboard, and I like to use this because these are, of course, the colors and patterns that I have in my journal already, because I made this board out of the rest of the pages. So when I brought the pages into the right size, I teared them, and then I had leftovers and made this masterboard. And so I can do nothing wrong with this paper, because all these patterns are somewhere in this journal. Perhaps you would like to do it the same, but you can also, of course, use some paper scraps or any kind of paper that you have that you think that fits to the rest. The first thing I did was, as you could see a second ago, I teared this white frame that came from my printer, and now I'm just tearing here this thing, in a size that I think that could be nice. And then I put this here where I want it to be, so I think we will make it not too big so that we don't lose the focal point of this tuck spot, if you would like to call it a focal point, but I don't want to make it too big, because when I make it like this, I think the page has no balance anymore. So this is, for me and my personal preference, too much for the top, so I like to do it a little bit smaller. So I'm imagining sorry, a line here, so where the page is ending, and then I make a little fold here just to know where I have to fold. Then I turn the paper over to the other side and I fold it like this. Then it looks like this, so that I now can tear the paper here, so that I have the same size of this piece here on the front and on the back side of my page. Because now I take this here and then I put that here to my page like this, so that one of this piece of paper is here and the other one is on the back side. And the reason why I'm doing this the same size on the front and the back is that I now want to sew around here, and to have the possibility that both papers are caught by the stitching of my sewing machine. It has to be approximately the same size. So I will just turn the angle of my camera and show you exactly how I sew this. Okay, so I just took out this page from my signature so that I have the chance to run it through my sewing machine. And now I take this little food here from the sewing machine, and I put it to my paper like this. So as you can see, this thing here, so the edge of the foot of the sewing machine is in one line with this paper edge here. Then when I'm making my zigzag stitch now, I know that I'm a little bit inside of this thing, so that I can make sure that I can grab the paper all around and that I will not go out of the frame of this piece of paper here. So hopefully that makes sense. If you are not a sewing machine expert like me, then this is really comfortable, because you know that you can't make any mistake when you sew a little bit in the middle of this thing. And I also want to see this square that I'm sewing now really clearly in the end, so that this is yeah, some kind of a frame or that stuff. So I will show you in a second what I mean. So I'm just sewing along here. Oh, I should turn on my sewing machine. Sorry, I was wondering why it is so dark here. So oh my gosh, I'm so confused today. So let's sew along here. And when I come to the end, I like to make my needle, I would like to have my needle in this paper, because now I want to turn it around and I have to lift the foot here, and so that I can sew to the next, in the next line here. And it's really easy when you come to the end of such a stitching and you leave the needle in the paper. Then you can lift this and you can turn the paper without moving the thread around. So if the needle is yeah, on the top of this thing, then of course you can move the paper around and the thread will make some really big problems here. So yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, so like this, and the last one like this. So let's just cut it. Okay, so now this looks like this, and as you can see, I'm not a sewing expert. Yeah, this is not really a rectangle, as you can see, but I think it's okay. So for me, the main point was to yeah, leave a little space here around this paper scrap, to have this thing here like a frame in the middle of this thing. And I also like to leave this threads here. I think that looks really nice in the end when you have some pages where this thread is still there. So I think it looks a little bit more handmade and that stuff. And when you look to the back side of the whole page here, you can see that we have nearly the same optic here on the back side. So that's the reason why I tried to make this piece of paper the same size on the back side like on the front. And now I like to put the page back to my signature. So what I can see is this now. So I can see this element, the tuck spot, and the page that's here. And that's the reason why I'm putting the page back to my signature when I go on with this little element, because of course that's not finished until now. But I want to have the whole page in front of me to decide how to go on here. So that's easier for me, especially when, for example, the pages are something like this. So you can imagine that you have smaller pages in your signature and that you perhaps see this, and this at the same time. And especially in those cases, it's for me really helpful to put the page back into the signature to see the whole context of colors and patterns. So so that you can see it better, I place it like this, but you know, here's the rest of the page and here's this little tuck spot. And then I like to choose a postage stamp from my collection that could fit this colors, and yeah, I like to choose one that also has a good size for this project. Yeah, it has to be not too big and not too small for my preference. So I think this would be, yeah, I think it's nearly perfect. So yeah, some people say we don't like faces on the stamps in a, for example, botanical or bird-themed journal. So this is a bird-themed journal, of course, but I don't care about that. I want to see the people, yeah, that this is handmade, that this is made out of things from our daily life. And for this reason, I think, yeah, I think I will go with this stamp. So it's a little bit strange for me that I pick one and that's the one that I want to use. Okay, so I already prepared this stamp that I want to use, and I like to do it like this. So this is this plastic foil that the stamp was on when I bought it. So I think it's a really helpful thing when you take this foil and then you place this thing where you want to stamp it, so that you can imagine how this will look. Because I want to make some, yeah, I don't want to call it rules, but yeah, some rules for myself how to do that. So I place my stamp here, and I will tell you in a second why I'm stamping it exactly like this. So I'm not placing the stamp here, but this pattern of this, you know what I mean, this plastic thing here. Then I take the postage stamp out and leave this here until I have my ink on my stamp that I have here on this acrylic block. And then I remember where this was and stamp the original stamp here, so that I have it in the place that I planned it before. And then I just take my postage stamp and glue it down, and then believe it or not, this is finished. Really simple, but I think that looks really, really cute, especially in this whole context of the journal. So yeah, let me try to explain why I made it like this and why I thought a relatively long time about this position of this stamp. So as you can see, this paper here is some kind of a rectangle or a square. The stamp as well as the postage stamp, and this stamp also. And I tried to look at the lines of this thing here, so of these three elements. Here is a line and here is a line, and let me just grab a pen to show you that a little bit more in detail. So this line of the stitching that was originally here is now, yeah, it has a little break from this postage stamp. So I glued the postage stamp a little bit to the outside of the page, that it is not in one line with the stitching underneath. Then when you look at this line of the postage stamp, you can see it's not in the same line with this line of the stamp. So I tried to break every line with one of these three pieces. So it's really difficult for me to explain that in English, but you will never see one line and another line from two different elements that are in the same, that are on top of each other. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I think this looks, yeah, like an arrangement, and I think that's a trick to make it look a little bit more interesting, and it's also perhaps a little help for you if you are a beginner or if you are struggling with such tiny collages or that stuff. So perhaps we can do another one. So of course you can also make some variations of this. So let's take this page here. And yeah, this page is something special for me because this packaging here comes from some Italian pasta, and I really love this pasta that was inside, and I don't want to destroy the writing of this thing here. And we also have these elements here on the back side. So I think we can do 2 of those little things here that we did before. So let's just make another stripe so that we can decide how we want to do that. So let me check this. So here we have not much space if we don't want to destroy this writing. On the back side it's not the problem, because here's a really big area where there's nothing. So I decide to measure this thing here from this side so that I can see it better. And I think it would look nice if this would be the same width as this text block here. So let me just try to tear this here so that we can perhaps do it like this. So that has to be, somewhere here. Let's just fold it and then do it into this direction. And now we would have this little thing here if we would sew it the same way as before. I think it would look a little bit strange when I would stitch here with a zigzag stitch and only have this really thin rectangle here. So perhaps we can try to sew only once here so that this is fixed and is a little, some kind of a highlight on this page. So let's take it like this, turn it to the other side, and decide what we can do here. So the stitching will be here when I stitch it from the other side, and perhaps we can I don't want to cover this yellow splash there, so perhaps we can make it like this, and perhaps we can turn this into a little notepad or something like that. What do you think about that? I think that's not a bad idea. So let me just take some random pieces of paper. So I have some tiny pieces. Ooh! Sorry, I just grabbed this. So I just made another project for myself, and I had this left over, and I haven't realized that this is so nice with this yellow and this shape also. I think that looks really cute. But what about something neutral here in between? So let me just check, or perhaps this one here, that could be really nice as well. So perhaps we could tear this here, and then I have to cut or tear it there where the line is. That's really helpful, thank you. This paper is really nice. I like paper that helps to know where to cut. Okay, so then we can put this here and this here, like this. Is this enough? I originally wanted something neutral, so I don't have any neutral paper here until now. So what about this? So as you can see, you can take nearly anything that you have. So I have just some random papers here around me that I don't like to store anywhere, so that I have them at hand at any time. And as you can see, I'm just grabbing what I have here, and perhaps to you it also makes sense, like it makes sense to me when I make this here. So, and I'm just thinking about a little trick. So how can I explain that? So perhaps I can manage to have rectangle stitching here on top, so that it has the same look like the other one that we made before, and that we get the imagination that this is sewn to the whole page, but when you look closer, you see this is some kind of a notepad. But I want to have the top stitching here on the back side as well, because of course I want to fix this here to my page. So how can I manage that? First I will sew here and here and here only through this paper. So let me just do that and then I will be back in a second. Okay, so now this looks like this. Please don't talk about this special effects that my sewing machine made here. I don't know what that shall be, but I think it also looks, yeah, some kind of interesting and not such boring, but it was not planned and I don't know why it is here now. Okay, so now I can, I think, take this 3 papers here, line them up really carefully so that everything, oh, sorry, you can't see anything, so that everything here has one line, so that I get every of these 3 papers with my stitching in a second. So like this, then I can put that here to my page, put this on top, just checking if this is in the right place. Yes, and now I will just close this rectangle here of the stitching. So I just will stitch here and show you how that looks. So here we go. So now from this side we have this little thing here, and I think that looks really nice on top of this page. It gives this writing, I think, more sense and more how is that called? Aufmerksamkeit. Attention, sorry. It gives this writing more attention than without this thing here. So for my personal emotions. And on this side here, now we have this thing, and on the first glance you could think that this is sewn here and that it is just some kind of a cluster. But if you look closer, you can see that you now can flip this and have space here for journaling, or you could put a collage to this paper. So of course on this paper you can't journal because it's too busy and too slippery, but here you could journal, or you could write some quotes or that stuff, and I think that's a really nice addition to such a page. But of course I would like to include this postage stamp optic to this thing as well. I like to make yeah, my embellishments really similar to each other. So I like to use the same elements, for example this masterboard, the postage stamp, and this other stamp. But I like to make some variations from embellishment to embellishment so that they are not exactly the same. So I also think that's not possible to make 2 or 3 embellishments that are really exactly the same. But I like to have this variation in this optics. So sometimes we have this notepad, sometimes there's only this, but it always have this kind of context by using the same materials. So I think this could be really nice. But I also, as I said, want to include this stamp here. Even if this is a little bit weird, because here on the bottom there's already much stamping. But I think it would look nice if it is here as well. So I'm just thinking if I would like to cover this weird stitching here by perhaps putting the stamp like this, and then let me check. Perhaps I could include this yellow thing here from this splash into this stamp, so that we get a context and some kind of a bridge between this and this. So that's the reason why I'm checking if I could do it like this. So perhaps like this. Yeah, I think that's better than on this side. If you would like to compare that, yeah, it's no question, I think. So let's put this here. Hopefully that will work with these different layers of the paper. Oh yes. You know, sometimes I have some stamp issues and those kind of accidents that no one can no one needs, so I want to say. So now I'm deciding where to put this postage stamp, because when I lift this piece of paper, of course I don't want to see too much of the white background of this stamp. I think that looks strange. So normally I would put it here so that I can see this stitching, but I think that's not such a good idea, because then much of this postage stamp is in the air. So let's try to bring it more to the inside of this upper piece of paper here. So perhaps like this. Yeah, I think I can live with this little thing there. Okay. So now we have this, and as you can see, this is a little bit coming up, but if this is included into the journal later and we close the journal, then this will get really flat and you will have no problems with this optic here. So I like that when it comes a little bit up, but if you don't like that, then please don't panic and just wait until you have this thing in your signature, and this will be really flat in the end, I think. Okay, so I think I'm really happy with this side of the page. So now we have a little bit of space here for journaling or for some other things that we can add later, or the person who gets this journal can add later, and I think this is also okay. I don't want to add more to this page. I think I first thought I would like to add 2 of these elements, and now I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but perhaps if we put a really small one here, what about that? Perhaps that can be nice, so that we have just a little context to the top, perhaps like this. Then, or perhaps even in this direction. That would be nice as well. Or we could also break this optic of this pattern here. That's a really difficult decision, I think, because everything would look nice, I think. I think I will put it here to the bottom. Yes, I think I like that better. So let me just sew this, then I will be back. Okay, so here we go. I just decided while I stopped the camera that I will just sew here, so that we have this flippy thing here, so that it matches this thing here perhaps a little bit better than when this is sewn down completely. So this is now this one, and from the other side it looks like this, and I think that's, let me put it like this, then you can see the whole page. It's also a nice combination of those both things, I think. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, so another thing that you of course could do out of this, yeah, little kind of embellishment idea is to create some really tiny pockets on the edge of your pages to store some really tiny ephemera, like for example tickets. So let's just use this page here. So that's also, yeah, some kind of a boring page because it's only this music paper. And for this pocket thing, I like to use a piece of paper that has a straight edge like this. So I just tear this here with my ruler. And of course it's a difference if you have such an irregular edge like this one here that you tear just with your fingers and with no tool, so with no help of a tool, or if you have this one here that you can put your things more easily in and out. So I like to have this straight thing here. And then we could just make it like this. So here on this side it's no problem to tear it with your fingers. And then I just take the half of this thing, make it like this, and then you can also put it here so that you can see how this will look. And I would recommend to make this here not too much to the top of the page, because we want to put something in here later. So it has to be, yeah, in the middle of the page or on the bottom, so that you have the chance to put something in here, that it doesn't peek out here out of the page, because then it can fall out really easily, and we don't want to lose this tiny ephemera that we all love. And I just think I will leave this number here. Here it says 402, and I think that's a nice thing to have on the bottom of this little thing. So like this, and I just think that this piece here can be a second one that looks really nice here as well. Yeah. Where is my ruler? Ruler, where are you? Ah, I hate these things. It's gone. I think I used it here, yes. When you can remember where you use that thing that you search for, then it's really helpful, because you can go there and you will find it there. Okay, so let's put this here and this here. And I'm just thinking if I would like to... This is a little bit bigger, and I'm just thinking if I want to put the bigger one here and the smaller one here, so that the page has more sense. So perhaps like this, I think that's better. So I will just sew this in the way I think that it makes sense, and then I will show you the result. Okay, so now we have this here. From the one side it looks like this. As you can see, I decided to use a straight stitching here and not this zigzag stitch, because these pockets are really thin now, and I want to have this tiny optic of them. So I think this zigzag stitch is much too massive for these tiny things. So I decided to use just this straight stitching. From the back side it looks like this. So let's put it back to the signature so that we can see better what we can do next. And perhaps it would be also a great idea to decide which kind of little ephemera we want to put in here. So this would be too wide, I think, because when you put your ephemera that you want to store here in first, then you can decide better which colors you want to use for the rest. I think that's helpful, and you can also see how much you would like to... What's going on here? Oh, okay. How much you want to embellish this whole thing. Or if you think, okay, this is way too high, so for me this is too high, you can choose another one and fill the pockets, and then you can see better what makes more sense for the next step. I think I have no no tiny things in here, why not? So nothing that can really fit and match the colors. So what about making something out of this thing here? I think I will, no, I think I can't destroy this. So let's see if we have something in here. So I have some tiny, more tiny ephemera here. Perhaps this thing, this little German ticket. Yeah, I think that's better. And I don't like this red there on the top. I think that's, I could put it into here like this, but oh, why not? Okay, why not? Perhaps even in this thing here. So I think if you put 2 or 3 of those tiny elements into such a pocket, it looks much nicer than when you put only one into it. So I think I have said that before, but for all the people that are new here to this channel, and especially new to junk journaling, I think that's too wide. It's more beautiful if you put more things to such a pocket, and for example, yeah, to some kind of this overloading look. Don't know if that makes sense to you, but for me, it's yeah, more beautiful when it's a little bit, yeah, some kind of overloaded. And I think I had some tiny tags and that stuff here. Where are they? That's not possible. I think I want to use this, but that's too wide for this thing. We could even just put it here to the back, so I think that would be no problem, or so it wouldn't fall out. We could also try to fold it and then just tear it in the middle. So that would be also a nice thing, even if it's just, yeah, such tiny piece of paper. It would also be a nice thing to use it as a background for a label here, for example, if you want to journal here with some white gesso in the background or that stuff. And then you can store all those tiny pieces here in these pockets like this and use them when you work on this page. And of course you could do this on the back side here into this both pockets as well. So for demonstration I will only finish this one here, so yeah, because it's the same on the back side. And perhaps we could also use a stamp here that's not only the stamp. So as you can see, this stamp here is still on the piece of the envelope. I got this from some really dear friends from Germany, so that's a really cute thing. And I love those stamps that are still on a piece of an envelope, because now we could perhaps include this here, even if this is a little bit big. So let's see if we have another one in green, perhaps. That's a little bit smaller. No, why not? What about this one? That's a little bit too much purple for my eyes. So that's also some kind of variation. So that's this variation that I talked about before. I'm using a stamp again, so hopefully I will find one that I like there, but I will use it in a little bit different way than before, because I use it now with this paper underneath. And that's also, yeah, a variation, but I am using the same materials that I used before, so hopefully that makes sense. And I'm just thinking about putting this somewhere here and not directly into this context. I like this really much, but this is a little bit too high, so perhaps... Whew, look what's on the back side here. So I think this is... Yeah, that was a postcard, obviously, and I think this is really old. Oh my gosh. So that's the back side. I think I can't do that. That's such a cute picture here on the back side. Ah! So I would love to include this here in some way, but I can't do that. I can't do that. So let's make a little operation. Is that the right word? I don't know. But let's try to make a window into this page so that we can see the thing here on the back side. So perhaps only the church here. So I have this thing here new. Yeah, okay, so if I could manage... No, that's too small. Nah, that's too small. Okay, so let's try that. Don't know how, but let's try it. I will take a white pencil, so this white pen, because then I can make my marks here so that you can't see them such clearly, so that I don't have to erase on this music paper here. So we have to go here, from here to here, here, and then here. Oh my goodness. Let's try that, to cut this piece here out. So I know you can't see anything, but believe me, there's a little rectangle now, so that I know where I have to cut. Oh my god. Hopefully this will work. Otherwise I have a hole in my page. Oh my god. Okay. So now this will cover this, and when I put it here, then hopefully... Oh yes. On the back side we have this image now. And I think it would be even possible to make it like this, so that we can see more of it and also see this really nice teared edge here. And have this on the other side. And now I don't like this thing here around. That looks strange. Can we cover that? Yes, I think we will cover that with tiny pieces of this. That will work. Okay, so let me just try to glue that so that it stays in place. Like this. How to manage that? I don't know. Perhaps like this. Okay, so like this, and then some glue is coming out here, but I think that's no problem because the rest of this page is also really ugly. So not ugly, but dirty. And I think now this looks not so bad. So we have 1, 2, 3 of these elements. That's also not a bad idea to have 3 elements on one page. And here now I will try to make some kind of a frame out of these things here and sew that down. So I will be back in a second. Okay, from this side now it looks like this, and can you see this accident? So it's, for me it's a happy accident that this black thing here from this scrap goes with the round postage stamp here. Can you see that? That looks really cool, I think. And I also like this, yeah, rough edge of this frame. So perhaps it would make sense to distress this, but since I haven't distressed this both elements here, I think I have to think about that really good if I want to make that or not. And from the other side, I'm really happy it looks like this now. And as you can see, because of the size of this scrap, the size of the hole, and the fact that I have sewn from this side, this frame around the picture is a little bit out of control. So I love that. I love that so much. So normally you would expect that this edge here is here, somewhere here, and that this thread goes through it. But I think this is much cooler than yeah. So just sew blind with your sewing machine. That would be much better than you expect. So I love that really much. I'm just thinking about some, yeah, kind of a finishing touch by adding 2, 3, or don't know, stamps here to this page, to this side of the page, so that we get this stamp, yeah, theme here as well. So perhaps we could add this little birdie here, or perhaps I think that's too much and we would destroy this optic of this frame that I talked before. But if we would use a smaller and not so loud stamp, so for example this one, perhaps no, perhaps like this. So if you hear any sounds in the background, it just started raining really extremely here, and the rain is coming to the roof of my caravan, so hopefully it's not such a problem. So we have, look at this. Isn't that cute to have perhaps this church here as well? I don't know. Can please someone come and tell me what I shall do? So perhaps like this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, so I don't know. I don't know if I shall destroy this, so if I shall break this optic here. I'm not sure. Don't know if that's a good idea. Okay, why not? Let's do it. So let's just glue those here. Ooh, what's that? So perhaps some of you are screaming now that I put this here, but I like to have 3 stamps here on this page to bring a context to this whole thing. So yeah, there's 3 elements. On the first glance, they don't have to do anything with each other, and I want to bring them into a context. So now every of this 1, 2, 3 things here has a stamp, so that the context perhaps is a little bit more here. And perhaps we could add this pattern of this stamp here as well. So let me try that with this thing here, so that we can get a yeah, a context here between this both as well. So this both, I mean, and then here. So perhaps, yeah, so that would make sense in my eyes. Let's do that and then see if we need a second one. So like this. And then I think the second one has to be somewhere here, but in the other direction. So perhaps like this. So here I also try, even if this is nearly impossible, to don't have 2 lines, as I said before, over each other. So yeah, I think I could manage it. As you can see now, this is not such a good stamp here, but I think that's nice that you get the imagination of the stamp. And as you can see, this line here is not in the same height as this here, and all the lines are, yeah, standing for their self. So I don't know if that makes sense. So only here, yeah, this little stitching here is nearly the same like this line, but yeah, it's not, I think it's not possible to do that all through the journal, but you know what I mean, and you perhaps get the idea. And I think now this looks, I think that looks really, really interesting. I haven't expected that. So when I look at this, I'm really happy about it, I think. So let's just try how this will look when we put some tiny ephemera in here. So of course you can put some ephemera to this side of the page as well. So let's just take those so that I don't have to search for some new. So of course this stamp here in the back side that we made before will disappear a little bit, but I think it's also interesting to have this part of the stamp here and the rest here. And if you don't put too much into it, you have this imagination, and you could also, oh my gosh, you could also use this line here and this line, no, not this, yeah, it doesn't fit so well, but this line here goes into the line of the stamp. Can you see that? I think that's a nice illusion as well when you go with these lines. Yeah, okay, so what I'm talking, well, I don't know if you can imagine my emotions, so I don't know if it makes sense what I'm talking here, but that are things that are going through my head while I'm doing this here. And you told me that you appreciate this, yeah, this try to explain what's going on in my head, so I thought I'd do it. Okay, so that's my little idea for today. I hope you liked it, and I hope you will imitate this. So have fun with this little project, have fun with your own journals, stay creative, stay healthy, and see you the next time. Bye bye.